Right then, hello again. Sorry I haven't been filming much. I actually had my phone died, so I had to take the back off. It's a Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. The IC chip, I think it was, power chip, went. So if I had the equipment, I would have taken the chip off myself and replaced it. But I need to find someone to do that. Unfortunately, my phone doesn't have removable storage either, so I'm having to use this camera, just a standard digital camera at the moment. Okay, so the engine's in. It's been in for quite a while actually, and I obviously haven't done this video. And there's a few photos I lost because they're still on my phone. It doesn't have removable storage, so that was a bit of a bugger. So as you can see, now I've got the shadow in the way. Exhaust manifold and intake manifold. Tube attaches this to the air filter over there. Lots of wires and cables. That's the negative terminal. Or is that the positive? That's the positive, sorry. Negative's down there somewhere, whatever. Coolant hoses yet to be attached to the radiator. It'll go there. But I need to put the front grille on. Let's have a look now. Yes, so that's just the pressure filter there at the top. So there's the oil just back through into the intake, and it'll burn that off in pistons. So injectors on, fuel lines attached. There we go. Glow plugs in. Hook for the air intake pipe, or hose rather. And your fan on the front. Everything attached now. Clean. It's actually all dirty. Oil bath filled up. Engine mounts in place. Alternator on. Missing the fan belt because I just took it off. It was actually a bit tricky to start. Unfortunately, I didn't film the start the first time it started, which was a shame. But it wasn't firing up actually, and I thought it was the starter motor down there, which I had done a partial cleanup but not a full restoration. Wasn't really turning over very well. I mean, I hand cranked it with using the hand crank, but crikey, it wasn't half hard to turn over. Asked a mate about that, who rebuilds engines. He said, well actually yeah, that's a good thing because it means you've got compression now, that's why it's so difficult to turn over. So which is good news and bad news I suppose, but eventually I held it on the glow plugs for a bit and then started over on the key ignition, and it did fire up. But there, see this has got an old-fashioned cranking handle which goes through. Whenever you're using a cranking handle, always keep your thumb out of the way. But good grief. Yeah, that is a ton weight. Well, not a ton weight, but well, the engine's a ton weight. But yeah, that takes quite a bit of force to shift that. So what you really need to do, as I said, if you hold on the glow plugs for a bit, that first compression you get, the diesel heats up enough to give you a bit of helping hand for the starter motor, and it does fire up a lot quicker. You've got to keep your foot on the accelerator as well, so you get a fair bit of fuel in. The pump probably need, well, when it started up actually there was a little bit of smoke from the exhaust, which is not to be expected because there's already oil in the cylinder pots. Just for that initial startup you've got to do that. But the pump will need tweaking. It either needs advancing or retarding, and then we'll get rid of that smoke. Throttle linkage there, links to the top of the pump there. All these things really. There's a fuel primer pump there. Actually, what I didn't know was the manual lift pump for the fuel is sort of automatic, because when the camshaft turns around it actually lifts it anyway. So when you start on the starter motor, it pumps fuel up to the fuel pump, which is quite handy. So yeah, in the back just got all the nuts and bolts. Headlamps, they'll have to go back in. Chrome trims, which I've actually got new ones, but I don't know if I prefer these ones actually. Probably get them re-chromed. There's the old air hose. That's in a sorry looking state. Fan belt, teeth on. It's got to go back on. You can't start the engine for too long actually without the coolant for obvious reasons, because your engine will seize, and that would be incredibly bad. It would mean I'd have to rebuild the engine again. That would be lovely. So yeah, that's about it. It's original sky blue, rock cover shaft on. Again, after I've run it for a few thousand miles, I'll have to check the rockers and use a feeler gauge to tamper on with them and reset them. There's all a few things you have to do actually after you've run it a few thousand miles. Drain the oil actually, because it's a new rebuild. There'll probably be quite a bit of debris of components wearing in and settling in. We'll drain the oil and clean that up, put some fresh in. But no leaks. That's actually not off. That's to pick up a leak, but that's not off the engine. That was off the oil back there filter when I tipped that over accidentally and I didn't notice. And that'll just get the oil off the tarmac. Over here, actually, tell you what, put that bonnet down because it's a bit windy. Bit of bunting. A few people from round about came out just to congratulate us on getting my engine started. Don actually on the corner cracked open a bottle of whiskey, which was nice. So this is the front grille. I'll probably put some pictures somewhere here of what it looked like when I was in. I've just been stripping it back to the bare steel, covered in dust because I've been using body filler. It had already been filled, but I'd stripped the old filler out just to put some fresh in. Someone's the latch for the bonnet. Someone had welded a patch into it. You can see that's how my shutter is not in the way. The bottom, but they left the old steel there as well, and I don't understand why. Because when you leave that with the fresh steel, it just starts to rot through the fresh steel as well. The back is just, well, it's not now, but it was caked in muck, and I just couldn't get the stuff off. It was never ending. Similar with the front. Thick paint. I'll have to keep going. But eventually I'll spray this black, and then I'll use a roller to put hammerite green back on it, which actually matches the rest of the car. So that's where we're up to at the moment. Sorry I haven't done a video, like I say, the phone's gone. Still, actually, that's not really an excuse. I could have used this camera anyway. But yeah, and a lovely messy garage. Well, thanks very much. See you in a bit.